power up. The U.S. passes a bill aimed at ramping up production of nuclear energy across the country. Plus, a California-based electric vehicle maker goes belly up. It's one of several startups to file for bankruptcy in recent years. We'll explore what industry analysts say may have contributed to the company's downfall. And Amazon is switching out some of its packing materials in an effort to cut down on plastic waste. Hello and welcome to EarthX News, where we focus on conservation, sustainability, and the environment. I'm Christina Thompson. Let's get into some of the biggest headlines facing our planet. The U.S. Senate passes a bill aimed at giving nuclear energy a boost. In an 88-2 vote, the upper chamber overwhelmingly approved the ADVANCE Act, a clean energy measure lawmakers say will make it easier, cheaper, and faster to permit and build new nuclear reactors. Lawmakers also say the policy would help promote the development of new wave projects, like small modular reactors, known as SMRs, and incentivize deploying American nuclear technologies overseas, as the U.S. tries to revive an aging nuclear energy industry at home and bolster cutting-edge technologies abroad. Congressional leaders say the bill represents one of the most significant actions Congress has taken to advance clean energy since the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act a couple of years ago. The measure now heads to President Biden's desk, where he's expected to sign it. More than a dozen youth environmentalists reach an agreement with the state of Hawaii in a high-profile environmental lawsuit. Leonardo Feldman has that story.
Hawaii has agreed to settle a lawsuit that was filed by young environmental advocates. The Aloha state will take action to decarbonize its entire transportation system by 2045. The state's Democratic Governor Josh Green expressed content with the settlement that was reached.
I shared with the young plaintiffs that I appreciated their advocacy and their strength this last several years, because I was lucky enough to work on environmental causes when I was 17. And to work on the impact of acid rain and climate change then. And so our generation just hasn't done a good enough job.
Green shared the same sentiment expressed by the young advocates who asserted that Hawaii is extremely vulnerable to environmental changes.
We are the most isolated landmass on the planet. We're too dependent on fossil fuels. We're vulnerable to climate change impacts like sea level rise, coastal erosion, extreme weather events as we saw in Maui, coral bleaching, which is devastating.
The plan for zero emissions within approximately 2 decades impacts ground transportation, sea, and inter-island air transportation.
They've published a decarbonization strategy for us to help us reach those goals, and it includes a lot of what we've been talking about, guys, like reducing consumption, incentivizing our fleet, working with Department of Transportation, encouraging hotels to also change the way they do things with their fleets.
It is worth noting that this agreement can now be enforced under the law. For EarthX, I'm Leonardo Feldman.
Leonardo Feldman, thank you. Gen Z likes to say that they are eco-friendly, but do they really know what it means? A new LinkedIn report says only 1 in 20 Gen Zers have the necessary green skills to tackle the climate crisis. The research found the generation is so underskilled, they actually pose a risk to climate progress. Green skills is a blanket term used to define the various abilities and expertise pertaining to environmental causes, including skills relevant to renewable industries, climate action planning, impact assessment, and sustainability initiatives. The networking platform surveyed over 7,000 workers in the age group across the globe and found just 1 out of 8 in the wider workforce have the necessary skills to push forward the climate agenda. At the current rate of progress, businesses risk failing their net zero targets because of inexperienced Gen Zers. Among the Fortune 500 companies, 47% of those companies have set ambitious 2030 targets for emissions reductions. By that year, it is estimated only 1 in 10 of Gen Z workers will have the green skills needed, according to LinkedIn. The report did suggest strengthening digital and STEM skills for those younger workers looking to get into green jobs. A company in Iowa is testing out recycling their wind turbines. It's a feat that has been unsuccessful for many companies across the United States. But a subsidiary of Alliant Energy, a major wind energy producer in the state, is making a push. The blades are often made of fiberglass and resin, which makes them both strong enough but also flexible enough to convert wind into energy. But their strength is what makes them tricky to discard when they have exceeded their typical 20-year lifespans or when companies replace them with more efficient versions. They have frequently been taken to landfills or incinerated, which can be argued cancels out their environmental benefits. Electric vehicle maker Fisker files for bankruptcy. The announcement came from the California-based company just after the EV manufacturer failed to secure an investment from a big automaker to keep afloat. Reuters reports Fisker was in advanced talks with Nissan to invest in the startup, but negotiations fell through. Now the US-based company is in talks to sell its entire fleet of about 4,300 cars to a business that leases cars to Uber and Lyft drivers. Fisker is one of several American EV startups that have gone under in recent years. Industry analysts attribute the downfall to slower than expected demand, rising costs, and investor interest in EVs other than Tesla drying up. The company has faced several significant issues with its operations as well as the launch of its first product, an electric SUV called the Ocean. Amazon says it's ditching plastic packing pillows in North America. The e-commerce giant recently announced it will now stuff packages with 100% recycled paper to keep products safe while in transit. Amazon says the move will avoid the use of almost 15 billion air pillows a year in the region. In a recent news release, the Seattle-based online retailer said the move was the largest effort to reduce plastic packaging to date. The company began transitioning away from plastic filler in October of 2023 when it announced its first U.S. automated fulfillment center to eliminate plastic delivery packaging. In 2015, the company launched the Ships in Product Packaging program in an effort to reduce its packaging waste. Turning now to wildlife news, an invasive fish looks like it's popping up in Missouri. The fish has the head of a snake, can grow up to 3 feet long with python-like patterns and colors, and the ability to survive on land for several days. The state's Department of Conservation confirmed that a northern snakehead fish had been caught by a fisherman, marking the 4th observation of the invasive species in Missouri. When the fisherman realized that he had a snakehead fish, he said he left it on the pavement for several hours thinking it would die, but it never did. The predatory fish preys on native fish, so conservationists say if you find one, do not release it back into the water. The first time the invasive species was caught in the state was in 2019. Federal regulators are allowing a Native American tribe to hunt up to 25 whales over the next decade off the coast of their tribal reservation in Washington state. The United States largely outlawed whaling more than 50 years ago, after many species were hunted to the edge of extinction. But the Maka People's Tribal Council argued their whaling rights were enshrined in a 1885 treaty as part of a legal battle stretching across decades. Since the initial federal ban, the gray whales historically hunted by the tribe have made a population comeback, being removed from the endangered species list 30 years ago. According to federal estimates, their population size has climbed back up to around 20,000. Now, tribal leaders say they're preparing their whale hunters who haven't been on an officially sanctioned whale hunt since 1999. A rise in sea urchins threatens Oregon's gray whales. According to a recent study published in the science journal Nature, the purple spiky marine species are destroying kelp forests by overfeeding, leading to loss of zooplankton, which is the whale's primary food source. Researchers say a leading cause of the rapid expansion of the sea urchins is related to sea otters, the main predator of the marine invertebrates, being wiped out of local waters by fur trappers more than 100 years ago. Over the last 6 years, scientists say they've observed fewer gray whales feeding in Oregon, and the whales that were observed had poor body conditions, likely due to a deficient diet. However, over the past year, scientists also say they've seen the whale's population rebound, likely due to fewer sea urchins that some research stations have been reporting. This, in addition to healthier kelp forests and a small increase in zooplankton, thankfully means a few more gray whales. Turning to international news, environmental protesters vandalize a historic landmark in England. Police say they are investigating after protesters spray-painted Britain's Stonehenge with orange marks. Officials say 2 people have been arrested on suspicion of damaging the ancient monument. Police say it happened on the eve of the summer solstice celebrations. In video released by the environmental group Just Stop Oil, 2 protesters were seen running towards 2 of the structures and spray painting as another person attempted to stop them. Britain's Prime Minister criticized the group's actions on social media. Just Stop Oil are a disgrace. The group, which has gained prominence in the UK for its disruptive environmental protests, wants the British government to end the extraction and burning of oil, gas, and coal within 6 years. In the past, Just Stop Oil demonstrators have been seen shutting down major roads, disrupting cultural and sporting events, and even throwing soup at a Van Gogh painting. The EU approves a new environmental policy that could bring back biodiversity. 20 environmental ministers voted to support the nature restoration law during a meeting in Luxembourg, meaning it can now pass into law. The first of its kind regulation aims to restore at least 20% of the EU's land and sea areas within 6 years and all degraded ecosystems by 2050. The policy was met with some opposition from a few member countries. Finland, Hungary, Italy, the Netherlands, Poland, and Sweden all voted against the law, while Belgium abstained. They criticized the cost of the proposal and raised concerns over the heavy restrictions that could be placed on farmers. Meantime, the EU's Environment Commissioner praised the decision on social media, posting, quote, "We are still on track to reverse the biodiversity loss. Let's now start work together and show that EU is still leading the way." Stay with EarthX News. We'll be right back. Officials from Germany and China came together for a round of high-level talks on the environment and the green transition for the first time. And it appears the 2 countries may have found some common ground. Shelby Wilder has that story.
The first high-level meeting between China and Germany on environmental changes, the green transformation, and resource efficiency was held recently in Beijing. This conference aimed to enhance cooperation and dialogue between the 2 countries with a focus on industrial carbon reduction. German Economy Minister Robert Habeck led the discussions and emphasized that China's participation is crucial for achieving global climate goals. He highlighted the need for China to find alternatives to coal, which provided nearly 60% of the country's electricity in 2023. Habeck stressed that without China, it would not be possible to meet the global climate targets. Habeck's visit marked the first by a senior European official since the European Union proposed tariffs on Chinese-made electrical vehicle imports. Before his arrival, China warned that rising tensions over these tariffs could lead to a trade war with the EU. Habeck expressed hope for continued dialogue.
I don't want them, and I hope nobody in Europe wants the tariffs. Therefore, we should work to avoid it, and the possibility is there.
So despite the diplomatic strains, the 2 countries managed to strengthen bilateral relations and announce plans to collaborate on various projects to improve energy efficiency in key sectors. For EarthX, I'm Shelby Wilder.
Shelby Wilder, thank you. Tesla is making a major investment in a new type of car battery called the 4680 cell, which it hopes will be more effective than other batteries used by its competitors. The new battery format is being developed alongside Tesla's North American battery supplier, Panasonic, and is already being incorporated into newer models like the Tesla Cybertruck. In addition to the 4680s being less expensive and taking fewer raw materials to produce, they reportedly have up to 5 times the energy capacity of current EV batteries. The company says it intends to maintain a surplus of the new and improved batteries, and that these cells will no longer be a bottleneck for their various models. Tesla's official X account has been documenting the development and production ramp-up since early 2022 and announced the production of their 50 millionth battery cell earlier this month. A group of scientists believe they've made a breakthrough in renewable energy storage. In a recent report, researchers from Stanford University say chemical compounds known as liquid organic hydrogen carriers, or liquid batteries, can serve as long-term storage for sustainable power sources like solar and wind. The study comes as scientists search for ways to reliably provide power to the grid without producing hydrogen gas during periods of low production, like when the wind stops blowing or the sun goes down at night. And the team in California feels the liquid battery technology may be the solution. The paper's lead author said, quote, "This is basic fundamental science, but we think we have a new strategy for more selectively storing electrical energy in liquid fuels." As part of their research, the group of chemists said they discovered a catalyst system for storing electrical energy in a liquid fuel without generating gaseous hydrogen, which scientists say is a win. Now, as the U.S. creates policies aimed at boosting renewable energy based off their research, the scientists on the West Coast say this latest tech may improve options for renewable energy storage in the future. A massive renewable energy project gets the green light in Portugal. According to media reports, an international renewable energy company has obtained environmental approval from the government to build the country's largest wind farm. Officials say construction is set to begin early next year, and the 274-megawatt facility would be able to support the annual consumption of about 128,000 homes. The energy company says the wind farm will be located in the northern part of the country and utilize an already existing grid injection point. Company officials say the project combines wind and hydropower, increasing the supply of clean energy and reducing dependence on fossil fuels. Scientists say this hybrid approach enables more stable and efficient renewable production, minimizing the environmental impact. A new vegan-friendly version of Nutella is set to make its debut this year. The brand's parent company recently announced a tweak to the recipe to create the more sustainable option. According to a company press release, Nutella plant-based will be replacing milk with vegetal ingredients and will be hitting store shelves in some European countries in the fall. Company officials did not say which countries the product will be available in or how much it will cost, but said it will be vegan certified. The company's decision to release a vegan version of the spread comes amid increasing interest in plant-based diets throughout Europe. A 2023 survey found that 28% of Europeans eat one plant-based alternative once a week, with milk alternatives being the most popular. Coming up, biologists are rescuing and rehabilitating a variety of marine life off the coast of Italy. Stay tuned, we'll have more on their efforts next on EarthX News. Welcome back. Severely wounded loggerhead turtles and seahorses are being nursed back to health at a special hospital for marine creatures on the Adriatic coast. Alex Salvi has that story.
The Italian coast is renowned for its beauty, but for some species, it's a safe haven, giving them a shot of a new life after traumatic events. A multidisciplinary team of scientists make up the Experimental Center for the Protection of Habitats, dedicated to rescuing and rehabilitating animals that are brought in after suffering serious injuries. They primarily deal with loggerhead turtles in the Adriatic Sea, with 80% of the air-breathing reptiles arriving at the facility with lung problems from being trapped underwater by trawling nets. Others are victims of boat propellers and fishing hooks, making this unlikely location the perfect spot for their release.
This is an area of methane extraction platforms, which is a perfect spot for the release of the animals treated at the center, because here trawling is prohibited and fishermen cannot fish.
An old fish market has been converted to a state-of-the-art marine conservation center. The turtles are housed in special tanks with masks that protect them from the light in order to allow them to sleep. Their diets consist of fresh squid, crab, and fish, carefully logged next to their names, each one awarded due to their unique characteristics. Such as Kim Kardashian, who staff members say loves being in the spotlight, her sign reading, "Yes, I'm extremely beautiful." Many of the turtles recover quickly and are released back to the water, while others that require long-term attention will be sent to one of Italy's largest public aquariums for further rehabilitation. The center tracks the released turtles to better understand their movements, watching them return to their habitats in much better condition than they arrived. For EarthX, I'm Alex Salvi.
Alex Salvi, thank you. A group of young environmentalists are retracing some of the most famous steps in history. Charles Darwin's voyages on board the HMS Beagle. 200 young naturalists from across the globe will be sailing in this historic reenactment, compressing 5 years of Darwin's journey into a 2-year mission. It will be comprised of 32 distinct stops pulled from the historic voyage. The Darwin 200 project aims to train and inspire the next generation of conservationists around the globe through a range of research projects that study the original work of Charles Darwin.
We're creating this community of Darwin 200 leaders and this network with conservation groups, with scientists, with each other, with their camera operators. And these people will then go back to their own countries with this newfound knowledge and this incredibly supportive network of fellow Darwin 200 leaders as well as scientists and conservationists.
So far, the ship has traveled over 16,000 nautical miles across 3 continents and still has more than 60,000 additional miles to go before it returns to England. And before we leave you, talk about being at the right place at the right time. An Alaska man, Spencer Warren, and the local police jumped into action to help save a baby moose. In video captured on Warren's cell phone, you can see him and one officer racing to assist the calf after the little one got stuck between a float plane and a dock on a lake in southern Alaska. Within minutes, the men freed the animal and the youngster was back on land and reunited with its mom. That's it for this edition of EarthX News. Please join us again next week. I'm Christina Thompson.